Yeah! Can you believe it? It's We Love Comics, and Shoff's here too? I'm taking time out of my busy day as a freshly minted dad of not one, but two kiddos, since baby Sage has joined the Shoff clan only 2 short, sleepless weeks ago. Well, I snuck out of the house and crept into the local comic book shop here in Windsor, Colorado called Heroes and Horrors Games and Comics, because of a new comic book series that just dropped this week that I have been mega excited for. DC Comics spared no expense with this one, because this comic book story's life, found a way. That's right, DC Comics, man, they did it. Those crazy sons of bees did it. Okay, enough Jurassic Park quotes. The comic book I'm reading and loving this week is The Jurassic League, written by Juan Gideon and Daniel Warren Johnson, with art by Juan Gideon, colors by Mike Spicer, and letters by Farron Delgado. If you've ever looked at the Justice League and thought, yeah, those heroes are cool and all, but I wish they were dinosaurs, then you're probably the authors of this comic book, because this idea is so bonkers, but somehow it works. The story is a 6-part limited series with all your favorite DC heroes and villains dino-fied. Batman is Batsore, or Batwalker, and he's just as brooding as before, still loves to narrate and be the world's greatest detective, but this time around, he's a costumed Allosaurus that still speaks and thinks English, and even gets in a vicious dino brawl with Jokerzard, an acid-spitting Dilophosaurus with bad jokes and a brutal connection to Batsore's past. The whole gang is here. Wonder Woman is a Triceratops named Wonder Dawn, living on the all-female island of Trimascara. Aquaman is some kind of prehistoric Spinosaurus, and he's fighting Black Mantasaurus. And last but not least, look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's an asteroid. That's a little dino joke. Nah, it's Super Sore. I think this guy's a Brachiosaurus with the same Soup's story. So he's raised by humans, in this case, cavemen, cave people. Cave humans. Crash landed on Earth, of course, and this was all in order to escape his dying homeworld. Now, you might be thinking this sounds like one great big pile of shapoopy, but this comic is so much fun. The art is really crisp and interesting. It gives off some serious TMNT vibes to me, but I think the big standout for me in this issue is the lettering. I didn't think that my amber would be hardening for font choice, but this book brings it. After reading the first issue, you just know there's going to be toys. And I just know I'm going to end up buying some. DC Comics, you've done it again. So comic book lovers out there, don't burn or borrow this one. This entire series is a buy for me. So hold on to your butts, because the Jurassic League is dynamite. I love this comic, and you should too.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, Shoff, for that voicemail. You can find Shoff co-hosting TREKnological, our Star Trek podcast, or Geek, so to speak, with me and Wonder Rob. Thank you very much for that voicemail, Shoff. That was, as you said, dynamite. That was a fantastic review of Jurassic League, and I echo all of Shoff's sentiments. I really liked the artwork in it, and it was an enjoyable ride. Kind of the same fun of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, just seeing all of these Justice League members and villains as dinosaurs. It's just as crazy as it sounds. So I would also give it a buy, Shoff. All right, let's start off this episode of We Love Comics, the show where we love comics, and you should too. I am Vactor. I'm going to be joined on this episode by Mr. Marcus Seabury and Hunter Camp. We're going to be talking all about Free Comic Book Day 2022, our experiences in our little comic shops, and our thoughts on Doctor Strange in the Multitude of Madness. So let's not waste any time and let's get right to it. Oh, yeah, it's time for another episode of We Love Comics, the show where we love comics, and you should too. I am Free Comic Book Vector, and I have Seabury, Mr. Marcus, the multitude of Marcus. How about that? The multiverse of Marcus.
Yes, Marcus Seabury, first of my name.
And we also have Dr. Hunter Camp.
Yes, in the multiverse of sadness.
Oh, you can find all of us on social media, but we'll tell you about that at the end of the show. This episode of We Love Comics is our giant-sized topic episode where we're going to be talking all about Free Comic Book Day 2022 and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So let's get right into it, boys. Now, Hunter Camp, you were off where?
I went down to. Are you asking me where I was on Free Comic Book Day?
Yeah, because you did not participate.
Yes, that's correct. I would have participated at Offbeat here in Jackson, Mississippi, but I was going down to Slidell, Louisiana that weekend.
Yes.
There is a great comic book store, not comic book store. There's a great toy store down there called Omega Level Comics.
Yeah.
But they have like 5 comic books, and I don't think they have Free Comic Books Day stuff. And so I picked up a few action figures.
And you were seeing an AEW event.
No, I went to New Orleans for the AEW event. That was like a few weeks ago.
I can't keep up with all your boyfriends and arrangements, Hunter Camp. I can't keep up with it.
I think you said boyfriends, and I don't have a boyfriend.
That was a Back to the Future reference.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Let's go into our experience, Seabury, for Free Comic Book Day 2022. I went to Atomic Comics here in Gilbert, Arizona, and I got to check out all of the books that I got a chance were mostly Marvel and DC. But then for my wife, I picked up a few indie titles, including the 2 that I wanted to spotlight, Seabury, the best Archie comics ever, because my wife is a big Riverdale fan, and Hunter Camp is too.
Actual huge Riverdale fan.
So I got the Archie book. And then also for my wife, she's a huge Walking Dead Clementine fan. So we got the Clementine comic coming soon. So I got those for my wife. And then for me, Seabury, I got the League of Super Pets, which is a nice
I think book. My wife probably got the Archie.
Oh, nice.
Because she loves the Archie. Now, she doesn't care for Riverdale. She said that's a little too dark and creepy for her. But
well, I don't know.
Yeah. Hey.
Well, speaking of Dark, Seabury, Dark Crisis was another one that I picked up.
I got it too, buddy.
Yeah. And this is Hunter Camp's territory right here. Dark Crisis is the next crisis, Hunter Camp. There can't be a final one. There can't be an infinite one. There has to be a dark one. This is the next crisis. What do you think about that, Hunter Camp?
I have no idea why they're doing it. I don't know what it means. I'm so confused why and
there has to be a dark one.
I don't understand how it differentiates from every other like grim dark crisis they've had too. So
I'm just saying, with Justin saying there has to be a dark one, they reminded me of my parents when I started dating. Hey-o!
Dang! Seabury, we're going deep into the multiverse of Seabury right now.
We really are.
But I thought the Dark Crisis book was cool, Seabury. I'm going to pick that up when it comes out.
And then I am committed to getting these 7-issue miniseries. Nice. Now, all them other looking loos, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I love the whole premise of a museum person, showing around these kids and telling about the Justice League. And then, of course, that turns out to be a villain and Clayface and all the little candlelight vigils and all that, man. I dug it. I like it a lot. Like I said,
Joshua Williamson is writing it.
Yeah. Like the only DC stuff that's on my pull list right now are the milestone titles. But I've been missing some DC Universe proper. You know what I mean?
That's what I've been trying to get back into with the help of Hunter Camp. But I also picked up Marvel Voices, which is a very good all-inclusive book to include all races, Hunter Camp, all sexualities. Everyone is included in Marvel Voices. So they've been doing this for a couple of years, right, Seabury?
Yeah. Like I think they had some with like black creators doing black characters, Asian creators doing Asian characters, LGBTQIA plus creators doing queer characters. Cool, man. And I mean, everybody wants representation, man. As I said, Lord knows it was. I've long wanted to see people who looked like me.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was tough, I just had to suck it up and be like, well, hey, Spider-Man had a book this month. That's what I'm getting. So, but I'm glad that today's comic fan doesn't have to.
And Marvel Voices is a podcast also. So if anyone's interested in representation in comic books, the Marvel Voices podcast and comic are available. Seabury, my pick of Free Comic Book Day is Judgment Day. And this is leading up to the Marvel event X-Men, Avengers, and Eternals. It seems like the Eternals are trying to wipe out all deviants and the X-Men are deviants. And then the Avengers are trying to stop them. So AXE, Avengers, X-Men, Eternals.
It reminds me when three people would fight on wrestling and they called it a three-way dance or a triple threat.
Hey, that's the name of this episode. We're going to be in the triple threat match of comic book podcasting.
Three-way dance.
What do you think about this? Yeah. Kieran Gillen was the writer who's also writing the Eternals with Isaac Ribik and a whole bunch of other creators.
I dug it. I like the way they set stuff up. I don't think that makes me sad. It's based on some stuff I've seen, mild spoilers. I don't think the X-Men gonna have that resurrection gimmick too much longer.
And I just found out about it from Seabury like last week.
Cause it takes like 5 people to do it.
Oh, dang.
So you can't imagine if somebody gets incapacitated.
Dang.
Oh yeah, that's Warren McTaggart kidnapping Mary Jane Watson Parker, because I guess her aunt Anna is one of the recipients of the of the mutant drugs, and it's like slowing down her Alzheimer's.
And she's a huge Succession fan.
Now
so I
also, yeah. Now also, there's a little short thing in here with Bloodline, who is
Blade's daughter. Yeah.
Now they've been talking about this for a while, since like 2016. At one point, Afua Richardson, a phenomenal artist, and also Canada homie. I've seen her when I was conning in Atlanta back when she lived there. She has since moved, but she's still around. But she was gonna draw it, and this other guy was gonna write it, but then that guy felt like he just wasn't the right voice. I mean, but hey, I'm glad they retooled it, brought it back. I want to see her out here, and like I said, I'm just digging it, man. And again, similar to Dark Crisis, I will buy the issues that. Well, I'm gonna buy the main miniseries, and it's probably gonna cross over into some X-Men stuff that I'm reading anyway, because I'm reading just plain old X-Men, and I'm reading Sword and Immortal X-Men. So if it crosses over into one of those, I'll do it.
Yeah. 100%.
Man, I'm slowly trying to wean, or like, what's the opposite of wean? I guess push myself back into it, because for a while, man, I would just completely ignore crossovers and not buy the miniseries. And like, like I said, if it happened to come into a book I was already reading, I'd be like, okay, it's here. But like, because here's the thing, especially with Marvel, man, there's this tendency to hit the reset button like on the last page, and it's like, okay, now everything's back to normal. And I'd be like, but wait a minute, guys.
Right.
What about the 6 or 7 issues of catastrophes and destruction? We're just going to ignore that now? You are making me sad. But hey, I want to talk about 2 things that I got on Free Comic Book Day. All right. I spent about $20 in my LCS, and they were like, you can get a graphic novel.
Oh, dang.
Or you can get a board game, or you can get a toy. And y'all know I love my toys. I got a Sable action figure.
Hey, Hunter Camp is a wild man, so that goes right with Hunter Camp.
Well, now she is currently married to Brock Lesnar.
What?
So, but she was at one point. Yeah, she been married to Brock Lesnar for a minute, bro.
What? Yeah, for a while.
Spoiler.
Oh no, I'm a bad nerd. Okay, but also I want to talk about Spider-Man and Venom because I picked that one up. They didn't have a lot, but I snagged one. Had some nice John Romita Jr. art, and like Spider-Man winds up fighting a enraged mailbox that came to life and was trying to eat this dude that was trying to put a letter in it.
Perfect.
And then the post lady got mad at him and he went off. And then it seems like that was the work of Madeline Pryor and I guess Ben Riley now, who has this creepy looking purplish and green costume. I guess this is, hey, we're clones and nobody likes us. We'll show them. Of course, if you have John Romita Jr. draw it, I'll probably buy it.
Oh yeah.
I'm a mark. I'm a mark for that guy.
And oh yeah, I am too.
There was a Venom story about him and his son, and his son got a symbiote for his buddy. And I'm sorry, I'm not a big Eddie Brock guy. I'm sorry. Okay, you're Venom. It's just Venom's motivation for being mad at Peter Parker, Peter Parker rejected the symbiote. Peter Parker ruined the career of Eddie Brock. I was like, yeah, simple. When I was a young man, I was like, I got that. I dig that. But then it became, but they're aliens and the planets and the symbiote. And now you got a kid and this kid's Venom and he's a symbiote. I'm like, guys, I want to care. But mostly I don't.
Dang. Are these setting up?
I'm just being real, man. Like, and also, what'd you say? What is it setting up?
Yeah, are these setting up the Venom and Spider-Man books?
Yeah. Because, like, I guess the same people work on Venom and Spider-Man. So, they're going to be things. Well, now one person I do care for is involved in this symbiote conflict. Flash Thompson is now Agent Anti-Venom.
What?
Yes, he has the Anti-Venom symbiote now.
Dang.
So, like, Flash is a bully who actually became a decent person. Kind of what I wish most of my bullies would have become. Spoiler alert, they did not. They're kind of trash. But yeah, man. So, like I said, I kind of care, but as I've probably said on this show before, I prefer my heroes to be heroic, man. About the only villain-led book that I was like, yes, every month, give me more, was Gail Simone's Secret Six. She was like the rare exception where I was like, okay, the villains are learning and growing. I can rock with this.
And they weren't like true villains. They were people that had already kind of grown through like Suicide Squad and everything. So yeah, like there's I really don't like villain books either because there's just not enough. I don't even really necessarily like my heroes like that. I just don't find a lot of like it's like, oh, I'm reading a book about a bad guy. Like that, what else can you do with that? Because Secret Six was like a family, and they were like, that's what you were getting out of that.
Yes. And like Bane, Oh my God! Like Gail Simone made me like Bane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell him, Seabury. Tell him.
But of course, none of that matters because that was several continuities ago, and nobody cares. I care.
I care. I miss Secret Six.
Okay, we care, but like,
I love Secret
I don't
Six.
know, man.
Yeah.
Again, I keep saying the Gail Simone because they tried to reboot it around the time of New 52, and I was like,
well, they did.
I kind of want to read, but no.
They did Suicide Squad with the same characters mostly, except they added Harley Quinn, and that was like they did a Secret Six book, but it only lasted like 6 issues, and I think Gail Simone wrote it. It just wasn't the same. It didn't feel the same. The pre-New 52, the pre.
It hit different, as the young kids say. It hit different.
It did.
Well, I'm gonna keep it a book, man. It's got to be out of them 3 because I grabbed a whole lot of books, but I ain't quite got around to reading them yet. Free comic book day Spider-Man Venom for the Spider-Man story because it's like as equally as I'm like, oh great, Venom and Symbiotes. Man, when I saw the beginning of the book and it was Spider-Man drawn by John Romita, I was like, feels like home.
Yeah. That's how I felt on that Amazing Spider-Man #1 that just came out a couple weeks ago. I felt like I was back in Memphis and I was reading comics again, boys. So yeah, we had a good time. I brought my son and my wife to Free Comic Book Day, and they had a couple artists out there. It wasn't anything major, but picked up a lot of books, had a lot of fun, and hopefully pretty soon my son can actually enjoy some comic books, but not this year because he's 1 year old, so he didn't know what was going on.
He can like the pictures, right?
Well, he'll just rip up the pages. We gave him one comic and he just tore out the pages.
Yeah.
So we need a cardboard book, something that he can't rip up.
They have those books.
Yeah,
you can get that.
All right, boys, let's get into our giant-sized topic. All of us saw Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and let's actually get our thoughts on the first Doctor Strange, because I don't know if I've ever talked to either of you about the first Doctor Strange. So let's start with Hunter Camp, because he's Haunter Camp.
He is
on Twitter.
I'm not this time. no, on Twitch. So let's think about what we saw. So the first time I saw Doctor Strange, the first one I saw in 3D, and I hate 3D movies. Like I can't stand it. So I sat through that movie, and it was cool. I think that I like Benedict Cumberbatch a lot, right? I think he's fantastic. Sherlock is one of my favorite things of all time. I would mostly watch anything that he was in.
Nice.
I haven't watched everything that he's in because I'm terrible at watching movies. So let's just put that out there. But I think the world of him. There's something that just doesn't click for me with him as a character in his own movies. Like supporting role. So with Spider-Man and then with the Avengers movies, I loved that characterization. But there's something like genuinely kind of unlikable about that character. And I think it was almost like miserable in the first one. Visually, it was very cool. I like mysticism and stuff like that anyway. So I like those aspects. I like that about Doctor Strange. And I'm not saying that like even the comic book or characterization of him is like he's not kind of a jerk. But for some reason, maybe it's just like it's a little bit grating. So I liked Doctor Strange. I thought it was cool. I liked the ideas. I liked the boss fight at the end, like where it's just like a recycle thing. I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So I think they really do cool, creative things with these movies.
And Seabury, what was your thoughts on the first Doctor Strange?
All right, first of all, I will agree. Benedict Cumberbatch's portrayal of Doctor Strange is a bit of a, shall we say, douche nozzle? Douche Kano, if you will. But I mean, I like Benedict Cumberbatch, you know. I'm I'm like a low key cumber bitch because like I ain't seen what is it, Sherlock, but I'm like a low key cumber bitch. You know what I'm saying? We in a situationship. I ain't fully committed yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? He'd be like sending me texts like, "So what are we?" I just think it's funny how.
And Marcus is just like, I need a little bit of time.
I know.
A bit of those.
I'm a free bird, baby. I'm just playing. My apologies to all the women out there. I'm probably gonna get some calls and texts. Well, actually, I will get calls and texts.
Or then to me.
I get into a verbal altercation with my wife. So yay. But look, I mean, it was cool. Like I said, I like Benedict Cumberbatch. I love Rachel McAdams because I was sad that I think she passed up some superhero character that they wanted her to play. So and that always made me sad. But I was like, but hey, here's Rachel McAdams in the MCU because I've been a fan of her since Mean Girls.
I like her a lot too.
Yeah, but it was cool. And honestly, I'm torn about the part you love. That little Lupa Dormammu who I come to bargain. I don't know. Part of me thought it was clever. Part of it made me want to fight somebody. I'm like somewhere in the middle. I don't know my feelings.
I think it was one of the like the most faithful galactic style comic book moments in a movie. That's why I think I was like, this is really clever and fun. Because it really felt like it was adapted properly, you know? Yeah. I think that's why I liked it. But I also like the big like mind F.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I guess if I could give it some kind of rating, it was cool.
It's a borrow.
Mm-hmm. Huh?
It's a borrow if we're using the burn, borrow, buy rating system. It's a borrow.
You know what? I was thinking about that. I should have jumped out there window, but you'd have pushed me out now. So here we go. Yes. It was a borrow. It was a borrow.
Okay. And Hunter, you would also say a borrow from your...
I would say a borrow.
Okay.
For the ultimate like mind F experience, if you want to experience that, it is a buy.
Yeah. I think I liked it the most out of all of us. I would give the first Doctor Strange a buy, and I liked all of the trippy Steve Ditko things, you know, the hands coming out of the hands and falling to earth and teach me, like all of those things when he's learning about his powers and learning about opening his third eye with the Ancient One played by Tilda Swinton. All of that stuff I loved, and I'm a sucker for origin movies, so I really liked the first Doctor Strange and was very excited for the sequel, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This was actually my second most anticipated movie of the year. I don't know if I talked about it on this podcast. I may have said it on another one. Thor: Love and Thunder is my number one. Now that Across the Spider-Verse has been moved to next year, all of my other Marvels went up. So I was heavily anticipating Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And it's already, if we're going by at least box office, the first Doctor Strange film made 677 million worldwide. This new one has made 532 million already in 1 week. So I think it's going to do pretty good, Hunter Camp, especially since there's not a lot coming out anyway.
Is this the first, like, sort of, I don't want to say post-pandemic because it's not really post-pandemic, but is this the first big Marvel release since, because Disney Plus got Eternals, right?
No, that was in the theater. And
okay, that was still like at a time where it wasn't really.
Yeah, Black Widow was before that. Yeah, I think No Way Home really was the first big one where everybody was coming out of their house to go watch it.
Well, as we know, that's no longer really a Marvel movie. Yeah.
But this one is the first summer block. Like this kicks off the summer blockbuster season, and a whole bunch of people are going out to see it. But since we started with Hunter Camp on the first Doctor Strange, Hunter Camp, what did you think about the second Doctor Strange?
So do you want me to go into detail of like the things, or do you want to just hear my overall kind of, it was just fine?
Let's go into your this is our non-spoiler section. So just your overall, and then once we get into spoilers, we'll go into detail.
I thought it was a good movie. It did a lot of interesting and good things. My problems in quotation marks with Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange were not alleviated with this. I think that they still stay the same. Which is so weird because in Spider-Man it wasn't like that. Like in Spider-Man it was tolerable and it felt like he was acting the way he was because he was surrounded by a bunch of annoying teenagers. I mean, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
The stuff with Scarlet Witch was like, I loved the depth that they used with Scarlet Witch, and we'll talk about that later. It did not, by any stretch of the imagination, give me what I feel like I usually have low expectations, and I did have high expectations with this. But it did not give me what I wanted out of this movie. And not even close. Which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah. Seabury, overall, non-spoiler, what did you think?
All right. I like the mix, man. I like the mix of horror, adventure, comedy. And like, Raimi ain't no rookie, man.
No.
Now he's a rookie in terms of the MCU, but he did the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. It's like, y'all put some respect on that man now. like he knows what's up. And I thought it was a really good time, man. That's what I'll say to keep it non-spoilerish.
Okay.
The one thing that both of you have, like you mentioned to me off podcast, Trent and Marcus, with what you just said, I didn't get I think there were supposed to be horror elements, but I didn't view it as horror elements, or it was minor to me.
I think it was more because they had set this up. Because Hunter, you didn't pay attention to anything before this, right?
No,
when it was leading up to this, they had kind of set us up for this is going to be the first horror movie in the Marvel universe. And that's what I was telling my wife.
Yeah.
And I think the horror that we got was horror comedy almost. It wasn't straight up horror. It wasn't something that you would say this is a horror movie. It was MCU horror. So it was very watered down, very goofy horror. And it wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Now it was more than any other Marvel movie, but no other Marvel movie has had any horror really. So this is the most we've gotten so far, but I would not classify this as a horror movie.
But isn't Raimi didn't Raimi replace somebody?
Yes. Scott Derrickson, who was the first director, he was director on the first movie, left the film due to creative differences. And I heard, Seabury, Miss Benita told me that don't tell nobody, but Sam Raimi had to reshoot 80% of I don't have any, this is not, official, but he had to reshoot 80% of the movie. And they already had a plan coming in. And so it was it wasn't what Sam Raimi would have done if they had just given it to him from the start. I almost feel like a Spider-Man 3 situation a little bit where the studio kind of told him what to do. So to me, I felt overall, it was kind of Sam Raimi-esque. So it was Sam Raimi came in waves. It didn't feel like the entire movie was a Sam Raimi movie. There was a lot of shots, and that was the same thing with Spider-Man 2. Remember how they had the Dr. Octopus sequence where the camera was zooming in and it felt like a horror movie? That's what it felt like, where this one, it was all right, there's scenes of that, but not the whole movie is not like that. Which I was kind of expecting when you tell me Sam Raimi is the director of the movie, I'm expecting it to be Sam Raimi from start to finish, Drag Me to Hell type Sam Raimi, Army of Darkness Sam Raimi. But I felt like we got Sam Raimi light in this movie. So my overall thoughts on the movie, non-spoiler, I liked it. I didn't love it. And there were bits and pieces that I really loved and things taken out of sequence, but as an overall movie, it's kind of a little bit all over the place. And the other thing was I almost feel like they require too much of the audience. Like for us, comic book fans, and I think we've been keeping up with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think we are okay, but for just the average layperson, it's almost like, okay, you have to have a Disney Plus subscription. You have to have seen WandaVision, even Loki to a certain extent because of the multiverse. You have to. It's kind of like this movie can't necessarily exist on its own. It's a bridge between what came before and what's coming after, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the after the post credit sequence. But I think these type of movies should also have their own story arc and exist on their own and not necessarily rely on what you've already seen from the other movies. But that's kind of just the whole Marvel, the MCU in general. It's kind of like trying to connect everything. So those were my thoughts. Overall, I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I've seen it twice so far, but I had some problems. So let's get into our spoiler talk right now. If you haven't seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I want you to run from this podcast and go watch it and come back. Press pause, and we'll still be here waiting for you. All right. All right, you're back? Okay, good. I want to know what you thought about the movie. Leave a comment down below on the YouTube page if you'd like.
Or in the reviews.
Or in a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. But let's switch it up this time and ask Marcus Seabury. Let's get a little bit deeper. And
man, I don't know. Like, I only saw it one time and I was super hyped, man. Again, spoilers on deck. Because, like, first of all, when we meet the Illuminati, like John Krasinski was Mr. Fantastic.
Yes.
The guy who's been rumored to be Mr. Fantastic. I started clapping when I saw him.
Oh yeah, our theater did too.
And when Patrick Stewart came out as Professor X, and I heard the faint sounds of the X-Men theme song,
yeah,
I couldn't even make words. I was just like, ah. and Captain Carter and freaking how am I blank? Oh,
Captain Marvel,
Black Bolt,
yeah,
from the Eternals, or sorry, from the Inhumans show.
Yes,
yeah. I'm gonna say Master Mortal. I was like hype about that, and also there's another scene that got me hype, and I have to explain. In the Black community,
tell him, Seabury.
We tend to be,
Preach on it, Seabury. Preach on it.
We tend to talk about the dead homies a lot, right? This for the dead homies, pour something out for the homies who couldn't be here. There is a scene where Doctor Strange dream walks and he winds up in the body of a Doctor Strange from another dimension that is dead. So he's like Zombie Strange.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he became the dead homie.
Yeah.
Then his cape is made out of other like lost and wayward souls.
Yes.
So he became the dead homie.
Yes.
And put on the dead homie.
Yeah.
Man, that scene really got me hyped. But like, I don't know, man. Now I'm starting to have doubts. I'm like,
hey, you liked what you like, and that's fine.
No, but now I'm thinking, am I just falling for the fan service?
Yes, you are, but that's okay. That's okay that you fell for the fan service. What the parts that you're talking about where he became Zombie Strange with the thing, that was super Army of Darkness. Like that was like the epitome of Army of Darkness. A very cool visual. I really liked that segment of the movie. So yeah, I mean that was really cool. So I'm with you on that. Like those parts that you're talking about are very cool. I have huge problems with the Illuminati stuff, but I don't want to interrupt what you're saying. But I don't think that you're wrong for liking those things, because I think we all like those things. And there's nothing wrong with getting hype about that, because like, I think that's the right way to view this particular movie. I just didn't view it that way.
I respect it. But also here is the thing too. Between this and Moon Knight, I don't feel the safeness that I felt in MCU films. And I'm saying safe as a critique. Cause like the MCU just normally just feels so safe to me, to the point where even though a lot of DCEU stuff just goes off the rails, I'd be like, but you know what? They committed and they were gutsy. You know, and like I said, with this one in Moon Knight, I kind of feel like Marvel wasn't playing it completely safe. Now, yeah, they kind of straddled the fence in terms of horror. I will give you that.
Not even that. I felt like this was the safest possible interpretation of this movie. Like they went with the safest route. I have not watched Moon Knight, so I'm not making any kind of claims on that one, but like this felt super safe, because like they went in, it's like, here is the Illuminati, here are all these characters that you want to see, let's kill them all so we don't have to deal with it ever again. When you go to a separate multiverse, or like a separate universe in the multiverse, it's like, oh, these universes are going to fall apart together if you have one character from, or like one person from this world, so we can't have that happen. And it's like, we've now established the fact that that's not doable, you know, like whatever they do in the future. But like, that would be giving, if they've already established, hey, this is something that we can't do, that it's not something like we physically can't, because the universe will cave in on itself. Like if they're establishing that something, then the thing that would be unsafe, the thing that they would be taking a chance on, which is what I wanted. Like I want that more than anything, because I think that that's exciting. They went and said like, okay, we're not going to do that. And they negated, like the reasoning for all of this stuff was like, just kind of was counterpointed Spider-Man, because it's like Strange is also like, hey, well, we can't have these people in this thing, and it's like, we got to send them back and nobody can know who you are. You know, and it's like, because that's causing the problem. But like, hey, let's go dreamwalk and let's go jump into a different place. And it's like, no, like this doesn't add up. It's just like, this to me is just the studios, and that's just what it looks like to me. It's just like, this looks like the corporate, you know, the corporate Marvel movie. And it's just like, if we're just gonna dangle a carrot and say, oh, ugh, and then not do anything with it. And I just like, I'm gonna talk about that more, but like, I felt like this was extremely safe, because there's chances they could have taken that could have set this whole thing into like an exciting new world, and they didn't do that. And this would have been the time to do it. Like there's not like an upcoming movie or anything that looks like, oh well, we should do it at that point. It's just not gonna happen.
Well, originally this movie was supposed to come out before Spider-Man, but number one, the director leaving, and then number two, COVID pushed it. So they had to change stuff. They had to there was some scenes where they had to reshoot stuff. So I actually am wondering what the pre-COVID version of this movie would have been and what that story was. I don't know if they'll ever release that or if it'll come out, but yeah, for sure. I felt like you could feel, it just didn't feel as cohesive or as tight as it should have been. I think that was one of the reasons why. But when they went through the multiverses, I was always looking for Easter eggs. The only thing I saw was a living tribunal. You saw that head when you were flying through, but the rest of it, like there was an animated one, there was a paint universe, there was an underwater universe. I thought we were going to see a little bit more fan service, a little bit more Easter egg, Seabury, than just the Illuminati. And I think what I'm hearing from you, Hunter, is maybe you wanted some more depth of the multiverse. Like the whole reason for having this be called the Multiverse of Madness And they went to one universe. Like
it was a couple, but that's like you got a couple of universes, but yes,
of what they actually went to. Like the other ones, we dipped our toe in each one of these, and then the only one they actually went to was the 838, which was the Illuminati one. And then a thing that I think kind of bothered me was the Illuminati not being our Illuminati, not the 616 Illuminati. And everybody was disposable. Everyone got killed off. And it almost doesn't matter to me that John Krasinski was Mr. Fantastic, because I don't think he's going to be cast as the 616 Mr. Fantastic. I don't think he's going to be in that Fantastic Four movie, which also just lost its director. And I don't know what's going to go on with that, but I'm a little bit fearful on the Fantastic Four side. Seabury, what did you think about John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic? He's only in it for like a minute or two.
Like I said, that's been the rumor. That's been the narrative for the longest. Like John Krasinski's going to play Mr. Fantastic, and I was hyped when I saw it. I mean, I was a little sad that he died. I mean, well, I don't know. In my heart of hearts, I'm still hoping that he'll be Mr. Fantastic. Now, one that I'm pretty sure we saw his swan song was Patrick Stewart. I don't see Patrick Stewart being Professor X, man.
Hey, man, look, I love Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier. I do. But, buddy, it's time to move on. And especially when we had a good one. Yeah, and we had a good one. I would like that would have been interesting. Like I would have been cool to see like a recently cast Professor X. I thought we should have gone with that, a younger one. That would have been cool. But we went with the same old thing.
Well, it was definitely fan service. And it was like, so there's a couple of things about that. It's almost like you're trying to confirm mutants in the MCU. You're trying to confirm Fantastic Four, confirm all of these guys, but this definitely is not the way to confirm it.
And they don't confirm it. It's like it's confirmed in a different universe, but it's not confirmed in the universe of the MCU.
Right.
Like it doesn't exist, and I don't know that they ever will.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people that I, talk to outside of nerds and geeks like us, they all thought, oh yeah, it's confirmation because they were in it that, okay, this is what's going forward. And it's very much like Seabury said, fan casting. This is what we want, what a lot of us wanted for many years. But when I actually got it, I kind of questioned the fan casting, because Reed Richards is supposed to be, first of all, he's the smartest man in the Marvel universe, right? Smartest man in the multiverse, the Council of Reeds and all of this stuff. There should be some type of, it's hard to put it in words, because I was trying to tell people he didn't seem smart enough. And they're like, what do you mean by that? And it's almost like, how do you act smart? But I felt like Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark was intelligent. I felt his genius. And that was just the way he played it.
There's a level of arrogance that I think that like Reed Richards would have to have it. And John Krasinski just comes off as like a humble dude. Yes. And so like you don't get the like overly, because that is Reed Richards. Reed Richards is like arrogantly intelligent, not like, a great bastion of intelligence in Doctor Doom. Reed Richards is horrible. Like, whereas Doctor Doom is like, hey, yeah, that dude's smart. And I
also feel like Reed is kind of on the spectrum. Like he's so much wrapped up in his work, like even though, he loves his family, but there's just an emotional, sometimes lacking, not emotional intelligence that is missing from Reed. And John Krasinski, I feel like just the way he, and this might be just me bringing in baggage from other things, but he feels like the everyman. He feels like Jim from The Office. That's what I take into it when I see John Krasinski. Instead of casting a nobody, if you're bringing in John Krasinski, there's going to be baggage from other things that he's been in. Just like if you brought in Tom Cruise, there's going to be Tom Cruise baggage. So there has to be like some type of regalness to Reed. There has to be some type of intelligence. And like Hunter was saying, there has to be arrogance, because, and not like Tony Stark arrogance, but there has to be some type of I am the smartest man. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to figure out every problem. And that was what was great about the Hickman run on Fantastic Four. So that's what I want. And I was reading earlier today on slashfilm.com, they had like 7 actors who would be better than John Krasinski. And they were going down the list. And I was like, oh, yeah. Dev Patel was one that stood out to me. And I was like,
that would be
I
really
could see
good.
him as a great Mr. Fantastic. And maybe.
No, but all the like mega loving super racist fanboys gonna be butthurt and it's gonna
they always are. You can't so don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
That's just how they are.
But when I read, you know,
dude, I'm gonna be honest, the response to those people is you don't even believe in science anyway. So why are you worried about my guy Reed Richards?
Right.
Okay, but sir, when you're a minority,
I know. Just send them my way.
You see racial slurs.
Yes, send them my way.
It hurt.
Yeah, send them my way. I'll take care
of it. I might have to take you up on it.
I'll be happy to do it, but
I'll leave a link in the show notes. But Seabury, for those people, maybe Freddie Prinze Jr. would be somebody that they would want to see. Tom Bateman is another one that was thought of. John Cho. These are the names that were listed. So I'll leave a link in our show notes. But it's like I like John Krasinski, but I don't like him as Reed Richards. So the second time I didn't it was the second time watching it, I didn't have quite as much of an aversion as I did the first time. But still, I would rather see someone else, especially just. To me, an unknown actor would be better because I'm not bringing in any baggage to it. But like I said, I don't know what's going on with that Fantastic Four movie. It's very up for grabs. But I did feel good.
Yeah, because the director of Spider-Man,
John Watts,
or John Watts, the last 3 Tom Holland Spider-Man films, he was attached, but he was like, I don't want to do
it. And that was what got me. That's what got me excited when I heard that he was doing it. But we'll see what happens with Fantastic Four. But I did get excited seeing the F on his chest, the Fantastic. And I was like, because I want Reed Richards. I want the Fantastic Four to be in the MCU to give people who have no familiarity with, except for the Jessica Alba Fantastic Four movies, they don't know anything, how great the Fantastic Four is. So I want it. I'm all for bringing in the Fantastic Four.
My thing is it's like, in the way to do this, and this is my problem, is that like this was the opportunity to bleed the multiverse, to like to pull a Crisis on Infinite Earths,
right,
where you could at least start that process. I know Crisis was is a DC thing, but like this is where you could have pulled everything into the 616, because at this point, like we kind of have already established that other universes exist, what we did with Spider-Man, right? We know that. Mm-hmm. Like we know that you bought Fox. Like we know this. Like we're intelligent enough and pay attention enough. I don't even pay attention to trailers or news or anything, and I know that. You know what I mean? So like, yeah. This would have been the opportunity to bleed that together, right?
Yeah.
And without having taken that, it's almost too late to get like Fantastic Four the way we should get them. Mm-hmm. It's too late now to get X-Men the way that we should get them.
Right.
Because it should be well established enough to where like, God, I don't want to see another origin story for X-Men. I don't want to see another Fantastic Four origin story. Like I don't. We've done this so many times. Like we know that these things exist. Those movies exist in other ways. There's no reason why we shouldn't have been able to in this process. Like all they would have to say is that like the universes weren't caving in on each other, like they were bleeding together, and that could be a danger. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's something that could be exciting. So that's my thing, because it like feels like it's too late. Like you've already got Iron Man dead, so like we're not gonna have like Professor X and Tony Stark like interacting with each other. Like we're not gonna have like Thor's almost run his course. Captain America, like as far as Steve goes, like he's run his course. Like these things don't exist anymore. Like that version of the Avengers, I wanted to have like face off with the X-Men, or at least like work around the X-Men, because we could have done that. Like we could have. but it's too late now. And it feels like if we're going to get, I love her, but if we get like Miss Marvel and Wolverine facing, like that doesn't, like there's no, like that, if we're talking fan service, like there's no fan service in that.
Right.
You know?
Well, did you guys both watch WandaVision, all of WandaVision?
Yeah.
Yes.
I got a very big Ralph Boner vibe when I watched this, because that was the thing that I hated about WandaVision. They set you up to think the very first time you saw Ralph Boner, this is the blending of this is how they bring mutants in. This is how they bring the Fox X-Men in. This is when that moment happened, I was laying down on my bed watching it. I stood up and my wife was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Do you know what this means?" And she's like, "No, I know." And I was like going crazy in my mind. The possibilities of everything that could have been was going crazy. And then for them to reveal Boner, there's nothing. It was all a Boner joke.
It's terrible.
And it was they trolled us with the casting of that actor from the X-Men.
Evan Peters.
Yeah. And who I love. He's a great actor. Yes. But they literally trolled us because
I was so mad. And that's what this felt like.
I got hyped too.
Yeah.
This whole movie felt like a troll job.
Well, for me, it was specifically the Illuminati is where I got that, because it wasn't even the Captain Carter from What If, which
was cool.
Well, they were like, "Oh, it's a different Captain Carter," and the Captain Marvel we hadn't seen, but it was like, okay, when they said Illuminati, I'm thinking the original comic lineup. So I'm like, oh, Namor's gonna be there, Black Panther's gonna be there, Iron Man's gonna be there. I was like, how are they gonna bring in all these guys? And then the only thing was Reed.
Why can't we have Namor?
Yeah, I don't.
Why can't we have Namor?
When they showed that underwater universe,
Namor's gonna be in Black Panther too.
Yeah, I think that's the rumor, but they haven't. Did they cast him?
Yeah, I think they did.
Okay.
They cast somebody who we think is Namor, but they didn't say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Namor.
Right, but yeah, there's
it's probably going to be an analog of Namor.
Yeah, but I was thinking in that underwater universe, I was like, oh, we can see him swimming in the background, but no, like I said, I don't think it's as connected as they want you to believe. That was what that Ralph Boner moment for me. I was like, everything's connected. Yeah. It's just like the comics. And no, it's not. This is a different thing than the comics.
It's like the coolest thing in the world, because like literally like all the big things that they've been pushing, or like, WandaVision, Spider-Man, Loki, it's like, oh yeah, there's a multiverse. You're never going to really see what you want.
Yeah.
It's just like, you can watch an X-Men movie that we're going to make, but it's not going to exist in the same like technical universe as the MCU.
Right.
And that's so frustrating, because there's no reason it has to happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, like I was saying,
don't think they're gonna let the X-Men be in 616?
After this, I don't think so, because like the way that you do it is by blending universes. That's the only way you do it, because you now have to start the X-Men from the beginning. Like, because there's no way what are they hiding in Connecticut?
Right.
Like for the past like 25 years, and they've never been seen. Like, no, that's not real.
Yeah. It's either you blend them or you jump over to another universe. Yeah. And it's like, oh, the 616 is what we thought was the 616 is not actually. And then this one had the X-Men the whole time. And then we jump over to this universe.
And like, what is that? Like, I'm sure whenever they make another Deadpool movie, like there's going to be jokes about it, but it's not going to be like a real thing.
Right. But I think what I talked about this being kind of like a bridge, between everything, it seems very apparent that they're setting up Secret Wars. And that's,
they're definitely doing Secret Wars.
With them saying incursions and the Charlize Theron after credit sequence of, oh, now we got to go fix this. And we're going to go hunt the incursions. Here we go. We're going over there with Dormammu. So it feels like what Hunter was saying, they didn't want to go in that route of blending it together. They want to go in this, okay, they're smashing together, and that's going to be the end game of this phase, the current phase we're at. And I actually think that's a good idea, because I was trying to think of where do you go after Thanos, how do you go bigger than that? And I was originally thinking Galactus, but now I'm thinking actually
it's so bad.
A multiversal war would actually be cool. So if they can do that and have everything that Hunter was hoping for, then that Secret Wars movie is going to be very good. But we don't know. That could be 10 years out. I don't know when the Secret Wars movie is planned.
Hey, Hunter. Yeah. Hey, Hunter, you didn't like your sentient cloud in that Fantastic Four movie? That was Galactus, right? Close enough, right?
Listen. We know what Galactus is. I also want a true Doom.
Yes.
Yes. Give me a true definitive Doom. It's not, look, I'll play it. Like, okay, I'll wear giant boots and be overconfident. That's okay. I love that man.
Yeah, they got to have a great Doctor Doom plan. They got to have something, but we won't know about that one. But to Hunter's point, also, I loved what they did with Elizabeth Olsen with Scarlet Witch.
I love her so much.
She was probably the best thing about it.
Yes,
and her performance as kind of like the unhinged, the Scarlet Witch versus Wanda Maximoff, and playing the different universe versions of her, and the Hex was the easy part. The lie, or the lie was the hard part. Whatever. That scene to me was great. Just her, and this was another thing that was hinted at, Hunter, where they said it was going to be a horror movie, and they said Scarlet Witch was going to be the villain of the movie, and they did. They kind of paid that off where she is the reason why, like she's pushing forward the story or the plot. And you know what? This whole point, we haven't even mentioned Xochitl Gomez as
absolutely.
And
America Chavez.
Yes, she's a character that I wasn't as familiar with. After I got dusted, Hunter Camp, after I got snapped away, I think more America Chavez stuff came out. Yeah. And I always saw her in the background, but I wasn't reading any of her comics. So I wasn't as familiar. I did a little bit of research before the movie, but her America Chavez is like the beginning stages. She's not like what she is in the comics right now.
She's learning her powers.
So what did you think about her?
Loved her. She was the bright part of the movie. The two things that I really loved about this movie were America Chavez and Scarlet Witch.
I kind of wish it was more America Chavez. Seabury, what do you think?
Yeah, I dug her. Yeah. No, I mean, for real, I'm not, that's not shade. Like I said, I was just hype about this film, and I knew there was an Illuminati in here, and that is kind of what I was focused more on. But America, well, the actress that played America Chavez did her thing, man. I enjoyed it, and also I enjoyed her kind of arc.
Yeah.
And I guess her shared arc with Doctor Strange, because the first Doctor Strange that we see, he tries to kill her to keep her powers from going to some otherworldly creature.
Yes.
And it looked like our Doctor Strange was going to do that, but then he was like, nah.
Yeah.
And that ain't what we're doing.
And they call him Defender Strange. They never say that in the movie, but he's Defender Strange.
And I like too that like she was like, we're friends. Like her and the one before were friends. And then with this one, it was like, oh man, even like somebody that like that I'm kind of getting to know, like I'm not like he's not gonna kill me, even though I understand why he would. Like it's the only way to end this. But like that was great because it was that moment, that growth, but then to be answered because it's like you're looking at it through like a completely negative point of view, and then have somebody say like, no, we're not gonna do that. And then it's like, oh crap, like you value me, like me as a person and not just the power or whatever. Like that was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved her.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get a lot more of her in the future, in future movies.
We better. Because honestly, like if you hear me talk about this movie, it sounds like I don't really like it. But like I feel like I love it. And it was because of America Chavez, and it was because of Elizabeth Olsen. as Scarlet Witch. Like I loved Scarlet Witch in this, and like
yeah,
her motivations were completely understandable. Like her life has been terrible, and it's just like I just want to be happy, and it's like I will do anything so that I can be happy. I tasted happiness, and now I don't have it anymore. Like what can I do to be happy again? And like that's what the motivation is. It's not anything else. So it's like it feels selfish, and so it feels like terrible. Like it feels like the motivations are evil, but it's not. It's like I just want to be happy, and what's wrong with that? You know?
Yeah. Well, there's been some like criticisms of, oh, well, why didn't she look for the universe where they were orphans? And so you didn't have to take over the mom in that universe. I was thinking about that the second time when I was watching it. And I was like, yeah, I guess they could have done that. Like it wouldn't have changed the story necessarily if they were orphaned, or if Vision. Here's another thing. Where was Vision in this entire movie? Because
I know they did the whole scene where he kind of downloaded himself into the White Vision.
Yeah, he's there. He's somewhere. He's in the clouds.
Yeah, he's in the cloud.
In like WandaVision, and it's like, come on, man.
So I think there's some sense in that, and like I'm not really a defender of this movie, but like it makes sense that like there's universe in the multiverse, like maybe you don't find one. Even in like I know we're saying like it's an infinite universe and everything happens, but like maybe that when they were orphans they died also. You know what I mean? So like there's so many maybes there that, you know, who can say? But with the Vision thing, and especially with the universe that we ended up in, like that part of the multiverse, like there's so many Ultrons like serving the Illuminati that it's possible that like that's Vision in that universe, you know.
Yeah, and
that there was no like true out of that.
Yeah, that's the 838 Earth. But specifically, I'm talking about 616 Earth. Where's Vision that we know from our universe?
Oh, who knows? None of that matters. They don't matter. It happened in WandaVision. They don't care. Well, like they're just like, oh no, who cares? He's off doing something.
They're supposed to care now. It's not like when Feige was over the movies and Jeff Loeb was over TV. It's all Feige all the time.
Oh no, what I'm saying is that they still don't necessarily care. Do you think we're going to see like? I don't believe in any of it.
That's what, like I said, the Ralph Boner thing kind of made me realize that these are not as connected as we thought they were. It's great, you know, as comic book fans, we all want it to be connected. We all want the universes to match up, but they just don't. And
I don't think it's ever going to.
It's all due to, you know, it could be actor contracts. It could be, okay, we can only have so many heroes in this movie, and we got to save him for the crossover. We got to save him for Secret Wars. That's when we're bringing Vision back. Who knows what the overall plan is? But if we're looking at it as just this movie, as just Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, it does not make sense that the only mention of Vision is when Strange asks her about, what do you know about the multiverse? Viz had his theories. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're just never going to mention him again for the rest of the movie. So that it just doesn't make sense, because she was so distraught over her children, but also she was distraught over Vision in WandaVision. So she showed no signs of loving Vision. It was all about her kids, and there should have been an equal balance there. But that was just one thing that I was disappointed by.
Do you think that maybe like the main arc of WandaVision was her grief for Vision, and then at the end, like it felt like she had moved? So like I don't necessarily agree, right? So like I think that she replaced her grief with Vision for Vision with the grief of not having her children. Like I think that it just replaced, and like from, you know, a mental health standpoint, like people do that, you know, and so like I don't.
That was a criticism that people had. They were like,
"Oh, I don't share that criticism.
It erased her arc from WandaVision," but I also don't share that either.
Yeah, I think it makes sense if you actually think about it like intelligently. I think that makes sense.
Well, if you think about it like what Hunter said, that makes sense. But also the way that I interpreted it was the Darkhold had her. The Darkhold is what made her turn into Scarlet Witch. She had the black fingertips. That's what made her go into the other universes, because at the end of WandaVision, she hears her children, and that's the Darkhold. That's not necessarily her kids calling her from the other universes. It's she's being manipulated. So that's how I took it. So I think either one is a valid interpretation of it. Seabury, when you hear somebody say they erased Wanda's arc from WandaVision, what do you think?
I'm more inclined to think along you guys' realm of thought, because I'm like, nah, man, it was trauma.
Yeah.
And in trauma, you substitute things, you try to find things to fill the void.
Yep.
Because it was like, okay, she did the whole, low-key enslavement of the town and tried to resurrect Vision, and that went to hell.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I still have this void. I still have a longing in my heart. Oh, I had these kids who kind of weren't real, but I want them to be real. Nah, I don't think that erases her arc, but like, I'm kind of quiet over here, guys, because like, I don't know, man. I was in full fanboy mode when I saw Doctor Strange, and I was just so hyped. And it's like, and I'm not mad at nothing y'all said, but like,
oh, of course,
y'all have brought just so much logic and reason.
Here's the thing: had it not been for what happened in the Spider-Man movie, I think I might have been more in like fan mode, but like I was in super fan mode for Spider-Man. And then the way they ended that movie really made me mad. And so I was like, okay, well, they have a chance to redeem this for me. And then they didn't do it. So like, I'm still going to watch these movies. Like, are we crazy? But like, I'm not as trusting that like, it's going to be what I want. Because I'm coming to the terms that like they're not gonna do it the way I want them to do it. Mm-hmm. Like it's just not gonna happen. And if it is gonna happen, it's gonna happen 20 years from now or something. And who knows if the world will exist at that point? Or so what's the point? I don't know. You had a chance and you didn't take it.
So you're saying you're not hyped for Thor: Love and Thunder?
I expect it'll be fun. I'll probably like it, but am I in fan mode? No. Like, but do I expect something like Ragnarok? Yeah. Like I expect some fun craziness. Like I don't expect it to be like life-changing, Yeah. And then, like there's so many other good things going on that like I want fun like 80s pop, like I don't know what that sound was, but like that's what I expect out of Thor. Like I've liked the Thor movies pretty much. Other than the second one, like I even like the first one a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
So I will like the Thor movies, but they now love and Thunder, I'm sure. But do I expect it to be anything? No. Do I expect it to be Guardians plus Thor? Yeah. Like, and that's what we're gonna get, and I know that that's what it is. But like, they're not under any other pretenses of like something major is gonna happen. It's like this is gonna be a Guardians plus Thor, and it's like, okay. Do I want to see Beta Ray Bill though? Yes. I think that they have the opportunity.
I want to play Beta Ray Bill. I tried to launch a campaign a few years ago.
Yeah.
I just want to be the voice of Beta Ray Bill.
I understand. Like, I wanted to be the voice of Darkseid.
Yeah. Well, I want to be the voice of We Love Comics, boys. And
then you are.
I think this is a very good discussion that we had of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. What do you think, dear listener? Leave us a comment on YouTube down below, or as Hunter Camp so eloquently put it, you can leave us a review in Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Yeah.
And let us know your thoughts on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Hopefully we've brought up some interesting topics here that you can discuss amongst yourselves. But Seabury, where are you on the internet this week?
You can see my movie review show that I do in conjunction with On Location Memphis called Center Sundry.
Yeah.
It can be found on the On Location Memphis Facebook page and their YouTube channel. I believe this week they're going to put out my review of Morbius.
Oh, nice.
I want to see Morbius so bad.
No, you don't.
I really do.
I don't think you,
bro.
Well,
I went to see Cats in the movie theater.
Watch Seabury's review on Sin and Sundry,
yes,
and then let us know, Hunter Camp.
Oh, I'll be seeing it.
And speaking of Hunter Camp, where can we find you this week?
Well, you can find me a lot of places. I still have a lot of thoughts on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So if you want to talk that out, you can go to my Twitter. It's twitter.com/I am Hunter Camp. No, it isn't. It's twitter.com/Hunter Camp. You can go to Instagram, instagram.com/I am Hunter Camp. You can also find me on Twitch, where I play lots of video games, but also would love to talk to you about anything. So if you want to talk about Doctor Strange in live motion on Twitch and get me mad while I'm playing Assassin's Creed or Persona 5, please do so at twitch.tv/I am Hunter Camp. Wow. What about you, Vactor?
I can be found over on the Geek So to Speak podcast network, geeksotospeak.com/network. We have a video game show called the Sandbox Gamers. We have a Star Trek podcast called TREKnological, which we're reviewing the new show Strange New Worlds, which if you guys have not checked out, they just had the second episode today, and it is old school, classic, like Next Generation Star Trek. So if you grew up on Next Generation or the original series, I think Strange New Worlds is right up your alley. And we're going to be talking about every episode over on TREKnological. And then we also have the Geek So to Speak podcast, which formerly 199 episodes of Geek So to Speak were of geek news. So it was just kind of everything geek under the geek umbrella was talked about on Geek So to Speak. But we're having a format change. We had an incursion in the last episode, and we're having a little multiversal fun over on Geek So to Speak. So for episode 200, we are going to be introducing a new format. So you got to listen to Geek So to Speak to check that out. But I thank you, listeners, and I thank Hunter Camp. I thank Hunter Camp's beard. I thank Marcus Seabury. I thank Marcus Seabury's glasses. Everything about
and his mustache.
I just feel a need to say also you can find Nelly in St. Louis.
That's true. That's true.
You can find me. Okay. Thank you for that, Seabury. And thank you, listeners, for listening to another episode of We Love Comics, the show where we love comics.
And we hope you do too.